Good evening. Welcome, everyone. If we can have a seat, we're going to get started here with the forum. Hello, my name is Terry Shatter, and I have the privilege of being the chairman of the board for the Sunnyvale Chamber. I want to welcome everybody for here today. The Sunnyvale Chamber, we're focused on growth and the well-being of our members. We passionately strive to develop a pro-business climate, and we support economic development while retaining and growing local businesses. We like to be the key driver of business and community prosperity and to be a trusted resource for relationship building. I want to invite you all to our big event coming up on April the 27th. It's our Epic Community Expo. It'll be at Sunnyvale Park Square from 5 to 7, Thursday, April the 27th. We're going to have a bunch of door prizes and cash giveaways just for attending. So if you can come all out and support our local businesses, we'll have things for the kids. We'll have face painting and balloon art and balloon animals. So if you can all join us on April 27th, we'd love to have you there. Okay, we're going to move on, and I'm going to ask Pastor David Griffin to come up and give the invocation.
Thank you, Terry. There's nobody better than this lady. We've done a lot of life together. Amen. Let's pray. Father, we thank you so very much for your love and your kindness. We thank you for the freedom in which we can gather together and do this and have so many qualified candidates for a city like ours. I thank you for that. I thank you for all those that choose to lead, recognizing that anytime we take on the mantle of leadership, there's a great deal of responsibility that comes with that. And so I pray that you would give each of our city leaders wisdom and discernment, that they would be able to make wise decisions that impact many lives, even long beyond their tenure and maybe even their lives. And so I thank you for the gravity of these moments, but also the fact that we can trust that you, O Father, are in control. As in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
At this time, I'm going to introduce our moderator, Alexander Helgar. He's from the Mesquite Chamber. He's the president of the chamber, and he has graciously decided to come and be our moderator for this evening. Alexander?
Thank you so much, Terry, and thank you so much to the Sunnyvale Chamber of Commerce for hosting this important event. In Mesquite, we also believe that we need to listen to our candidates and get answers to the questions that we have. I'm going to explain the format we have for tonight. We do have two unopposed races. So the mayor is unopposed, and Councilmember Mark Eldridge is also unopposed. So what they will do is they will come up here and do 3 minutes each, just an introduction of who they are and what they believe in. The same thing will our two town council for place 3 candidates will also spend 3 minutes here. Then we will have between 6 and 8 questions for the two candidates that run for place 3. And they will spend about 2 minutes each on those questions. These are questions that have been submitted prior to this event, and we have included them to make sure that y'all get the answers y'all deserve. So we will start with the Mayor Soji George, and he will give you all 3 minutes about who he is and why he decided to rerun for mayor again. Give it up for Mayor Soji George.
I'll try to keep it short. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. I especially want to thank Sunnyvale Chamber for hosting this event, Terry. Thank you. Also want to thank Alexander Helgar, President of Mesquite, for leading the candidate forum. It's never fun. I have done this before. It's never fun to lead a candidate forum, but thank you for that. Pastor Griffin, I also want to thank you, sir, for reaching. When I reach out to you, you are more than gracious. I know you are a busy man. You got family events tonight, but thank you for being here tonight. And I'm very grateful to the citizens of Sunnyvale for placing your confidence in me for the last 13 years, 8 years as a council member and 5 years as a mayor. This May, I'll be sworn in for another 2 more years. I got to tell you, I really enjoyed my time in council, especially the last 5 years. I attribute a lot of my success to ask the mayor, to my esteemed council colleagues. They're all standing at the back. and the staff. This exceptional group of council colleagues I worked with helped me formulate the vision, mission, and the strategy for our town, and the staff executed them almost flawlessly. Our vision statement, Sunnyvale is a unique rural community with small town values that provide a high quality of life with safe neighborhoods, appealing places to recreate, and quality business and municipal services. Sometimes people wonder what is unique about Sunnyvale. Has it changed? Are we still a rural community with small town values? I recognize that time has changed since town only allowed acre homes, and also population has increased quite a bit. Our SISD grew from 2 campus to a co-located 4 campus district. A lot of growth. The residents are not just the ones who grew up here, but a lot of young families have moved in to raise their kids in this beautiful town and also to attend SISD. Even with all these changes, I would say that Sunnyvale is still pretty unique. We maintain a healthy balance between open spaces and approved structure. Our well-manicured parks with a water fountain, stations to exercise, a pavilion to congregate, for me, they're all breathtaking. Our town-wide interconnecting trail system is perfect for families to relax after a long day of work. I experienced that during the COVID time. Our new beautiful fire station, our blacktop, winding, hilly roads with bar ditches. Some people like it, but I love it. I find this very unique compared to many neighboring towns and cities. I think I'm out of town, so let me wrap up. I want to thank all who are assembled here tonight and watching this program online, and other residents who could not be here. I'm sincerely grateful to each one of you for allowing me to serve you as your mayor. If there's any time I can be of assistance to you, please feel free to reach out to me. It may be my honor to listen to you and to do what I can to assist you. Thank you.
I would like to ask Council Member Mark Eldridge to come up and give his 3 minutes as well.
Sorry guys, don't hold it back. I walk slow these days.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. This is really great, seeing everybody here, being involved in the great American pastime, right, of voting our electives. Kevin's already given me a 3-minute warning. Alrighty, thanks, Kevin. Like I said, Mark Eldridge. I'm the current town councilman, number 4, place 4. 3 years in. Before that, I did 4B for about a year and a half. So the big things I focused on since I've gotten here is trails, because a lot of people in town talk about, country, right? Being rural, right? Being unique, being different, not being tons of concrete, right? Well, how do you build a community? How do you stay country, right? These are some of the questions we have to answer on town council, right? How do we take that and make that policy, make that action, right? Dedicate dollars to it, right? And the way I've kind of done it is through trails. I think trails are a big piece of it, right? How do we meet our neighbors? We go outside, right? We walk around, we get on bikes, we take our kids to parks, right? That's where we run into people, that's where we run into our neighbors, that's how we get to know our neighbors, that's how we get to know their lives, what they're doing, what they're up to, right? And that builds, a cohesive community where we care about each other, right? And that's really what matters, right? Schools are important, right? Supporting our school district is a big piece of it, right? It's where we make most of our friends, right? Through our kids, right? Through kids' events, right? So the town, working closely with the school is a big piece for me, right? I have 2 kids, young. One's in middle school, one's in intermediate school, right? And for me, that's a big piece of my life. And I'll make sure that our school and our town are closely aligned. What are the big things? I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet, leave lots of time left for the other 2 candidates. Got some good questions. So once again, thank you, town staff. Thank you, Terry, for putting this together. Chamber of Commerce, really appreciate it. This is huge. And hope to see more of you guys at the town council meetings. Be nice. So thanks, everybody.
Okay, now I'm going to ask candidate for Town Council Place 3, Sarah Bradfield, to come up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the chamber and the mayor and the council and staff and everyone who put together this event. And thank you also to Manu and to all of the guests here today. So I'm just going to give you just a little bit of an intro into who I am and why I'm running for council. I have been someone who, even as a small child, wanted to help others and serve wherever I could. Sometimes insistent to the point where to people that didn't even want my help. So my stepmother told me this funny story the other day about how she was cleaning the bathroom one day, and I was sitting on the side of the bathtub, and she thought I wanted to just chit-chat like 4-year-olds do. But I said, the reason I'm in here is to help you. Like, I was very indignant that I wanted to help her. In high school, I went on to serve in different clubs and so forth, and they asked someone to take down the American flag every day from the flagpole. They didn't want to find a new student every day. They wanted someone to volunteer to do it every day. I'm like, I'll do it. I really enjoyed that service project. And then even in FHA in high school, I signed up to be the treasurer. And then as I found out, someone actually volunteered me to be the president of the club. So that's probably where my journey towards boards and commissions began in high school. But with all that being said, my servant heart plus just experience here in the town that we'll be talking about throughout this evening, I just feel like that's made me an effective leader and someone who will be able to serve the town council well, serve the people, serve the town and the citizens. As the mayor and Mr. Eldridge were mentioning, the small town feel is very important to me. I actually grew up in a very small town in Louisiana. We had less than 200 residents, and I could actually see from our backyard across the pasture where I was baptized in our church. And so I just truly enjoyed growing up that way, and I wanted that for my children. But I also remember having to drive 30 minutes to the nearest grocery store. So even as a child, I knew that there was a way you could have the best of both worlds. And so that's what I want for Sunnyvale, is the best of both worlds with balance and focus on the needs that we have as a town, but the quality of life initiatives that we all enjoy. Thank you very much.
If I could now ask Town Council Place 3 candidate Manu Danny to come up as well.
Good evening, Sunnyvale. Thank you everyone for being here. And thank you Chamber of Commerce, Terry Shatter and Alexander Helger, and our Honorable Mayor and all the Town Council members and all the town employees. And Pastor David Griffin, where is he? And Sarah Bradford. And I want to thank all the mayors and all the town council members and all the town employees, along with the Sunnyvale residents, who worked tirelessly for the past 70 years to make this Sunnyvale what it is today. It is a beautiful place I picked to live, to raise my family. This is my home, I called, for the last 13 years. And I also want to thank all my supporters who are here today. You give me strength and confidence. And thank you for trusting me and letting me run for this election. Thank you. So I am Manu Danny. I am a resident of Sunnyvale for the last 13 years, 20-year public servant in healthcare. And I am a Christian mother of 3 kids and a certified Sunday school teacher, certified. And I care about the community because I raise my kids here. And what I'm gonna do after I run this election, just bullet points now, I'll explain later. I wanna maintain the Sunnyvale as it is, the beauty and the charm. Everybody that I talk to, not just from Sunnyvale, everywhere, at work or Mesquite or Garland, everywhere I go, they love Sunnyvale for its beauty, for its peace, for its quietness. And I wanna maintain that. If I get elected, I'll make sure it will be maintained the way it is, with only necessary developments we need. I support library and animal shelter and I'll make sure all the Sunnyvale residents' needs are met the way we need. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening to my speech. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna get started on the questions, and we're gonna make sure that each of the candidates will alternate on who answers each question first. Manu, you will answer this question first. We would like to start off getting to know you a little bit first. Please tell us about your background and community service experience that will make you effective as a potential council member.
I have 20 years of experience as public servant in healthcare service. And we all know what it takes to be a healthcare person, a person who work in medical field. It takes a lot. The qualities we gain by working in medical field is patience, compassion, communication, leadership, social skills, and standing up for our customer who is our patient. I am a huge advocate for my patient at my Sunnyvale Hospital, which I've been working for the last 10 years. I listen to them, I sit down with them, I understand what they're going through, and I see them through their toughest time. That is one of my experience among many other. The other experience I have is I was part of our church management committee, and I help with a lot of decisions that happen in church, especially the construction and directing the church in a positive and a growing way. I also have experience. I started my missionary work, a little bit of missionary work, which I started at the age of 24, along with my mother-in-law, with a church from San Diego. I went to a state called Sikkim in India, where I saw where I saw firsthand experience, where I experienced firsthand what a public service means. I help people find the truth, and I help people with what they need. I stood up for them, I communicate with them, I listen to them. And my 20 years of experience as public servant taught me a lot, made me strong, resilient, gave me a lot of patience.
Thank you, Manu. Sarah, it's your turn. Would you like me to repeat the question, or are you good?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
So my background is I do work full-time in the financial services industry, and my husband and I moved here to Sunnyvale 14 years ago when our son was about to start 4th grade and our daughter was about to start kindergarten. And so immediately I was able to utilize my skills as a project manager, very detail-oriented, and multitasker to just jump in and get involved here at the school with some of our various clubs and committees that the school had. So I was involved in PTA for 10 years. I was normally, for some reason, I held a lot of treasurer positions. So I was the treasurer for the PTA. I also was in the Band Booster Club, the Choir Booster Club, the Education Foundation. I've also done just general volunteering around town with the Sharing Life Food Pantry. And I've recently gotten involved in the Friends of Animals of Sunnyvale, Texas group that we're trying to put together to help with our animal shelter needs. But where I primarily got most of my experience with the town is through my 8 years that I spent on the 4B Economic Development Board. I really was able to get a clear understanding of how town council works with other boards and staff in town. I actually served as a treasurer for many years on the 4B board as well. Sometimes I had to present certain projects to town council for approval, so that was always fun, in quotes. So I did spend a lot of time here working with the school, working with the town, and I just think that makes me a good fit for continuing on in the town council role. One other thing, I'm currently on the Planning and Zoning Committee, but anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. Thanks so much.
Thank you to both of our candidates for your answers to our introductory question. Question number 2. Most candidates have a couple of projects that are near and dear to their heart. What projects are you most passionate about, and how will you implement these projects? Sarah, you will kick us off with that one.
So this is a hard one because we have so many great projects that our citizens group have put together through the capital improvement project plan that's been worked on over recent years. So I would say the number one project that I've worked on for a very long time that's very near and dear to me is the Rails to Trails project. So that one is something that I was involved in through its infancy, and it's really at a point where we've already started some of the construction, and we are applying for grant money, and we are looking to really make some headway with getting that trail developed through that abandoned railroad that goes north to south through town. So it's going to be a big asset to the town. But I also have a passion for other quality of life projects. I mean, quality of life projects is it's 2 of our 5 goals in our strategic plan. We really want to preserve the rural atmosphere of the town and also focus on those quality of life enhancements. So to me, that also includes making sure that our animal shelter is taken care of, as well as making some improvements to the horse stables there at Jobson and Tripp. So I was actually, when I was on 4B, we were involved in making sure that land stayed rural. We did not want that to go to the developer that it ultimately developed behind that land. So the horses are being there. It's just one of our main benefits here in Sunnyvale. So we need to keep that, but we need to keep those stables. We need to get those stables up to code, and I would really focus on those 3 projects. Thank you.
Manu, would you like me to repeat the question, or are you good to go? Perfect, thank you.
There are several projects that are dear and near to my heart, and first one is definitely the maintenance or the construction of the roadways. The existing condition, as we all know, it's not up to the par. A lot of complaints that I heard from residents of Sunnyvale when I was doing the door-to-door. So definitely that will be one of my priority. And the next one, which is dear to my heart, is the Sunnyvale Library. I visited the library recently, and I visited the library 10 years ago when my oldest started to read. So we definitely need a library that is attractive to the younger kids, because the condition of our library, I'm sure we all know that it's not appealing. It's not big enough. There's books stored in a shed behind the library, which is sad to see, because we're a good town. We're paying good tax. So I think that's one thing that we should focus on improving. The other thing is animal shelter. I've been to their meeting. I see a lot of posts on Facebook or community website. There's a dire need for a bigger animal shelter, definitely. So I would support for a bigger and better animal shelter. And the other one that I heard a lot from a lot of the people that I talked to is a grocery store. A lot of people said, hey, when I asked them, what are your concern, what are your needs? They said, can we have a grocery store in Sunnyvale? And they also mentioned a particular chain. It's H-E-B. So if we can bring an H-E-B in Sunnyvale, that would be great, but I do not know if we can, or I do not know if there were a plan, or we'll find out. But if I elected for town council, I'll find out more about it. Oh, sorry, thanks.
Thank you. Every community has its challenges. What is your understanding of the biggest challenges Sunnyvale faces, and how will you help solve them? Manu, you kick it off with that one.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, absolutely. Every community has its challenges. What is your understanding of the biggest challenges Sunnyvale faces, and how will you solve them?
So biggest challenge that Sunnyvale faces, according to me, is the difference between the older generation and their needs and the newer, younger generation and their needs. They're totally different. When I talk to them, the people from the older generation, they wanted to maintain Sunnyvale the way it is. That is absolutely right. I support that. The needs of a newer community or newer family with children, they have a completely set of needs. They're worried about the safety. A lot of people told me about the library, the traffic, the road condition, versus older generation. Their concern is, they don't have any school-going kids. They're on a limited source of income. So the balance, the delicate balance between these two groups will be a biggest challenge, according to me. And the other is communication. Communication between town council and the residents. There's a few people that told me that they try to communicate with the town council or the Sunnyvale town. They didn't hear back from them. They emailed them multiple times, but they didn't hear back from them. So communication is the biggest challenge, but I'm sure we have plans and policies to make it easier. I think we should look into a better way to communicate, because sending a letter or an email might not be where a new generation will find their information from. So we should use the modern technology to fill that gap. So communication is another challenge I think Sunnyvale has. I think that's it.
Thank you, Manu. Sarah, it's your turn. Would you like me to repeat the question? Sure. Every community has its challenges. What is your understanding of the biggest challenges Sunnyvale faces, and how will you solve them?
So I thought about all the different challenges that we have as a town, and I actually narrowed our challenges down to one thing, because all of our issues seem to stem from growth. Growth seems to drive a lot of things around town, and it affects people in different ways. So growth impacts our roads, because we have a lot of people who are traveling on the roads, and that impacts our police force and our public safety, and all of the staff. We need more staff to respond to more citizens. We need more police officers to respond to more people on the roads. It affects our school. One of the main reasons that people move to Sunnyvale is because of our schools. And the faster that we grow, the harder it's going to be for Sunnyvale to keep a small class size. We have to continue to make sure that we keep that in mind when we are looking at new developments and new ways to grow the town. So my plan would be to really focus on strategic growth that fits in with our existing strategic plan. And that's going to mean maybe reviewing our ordinances, making sure that our police officers have the right tools that they need. It's going to mean reviewing our development standards. It's going to mean making sure that we hold developers accountable for certain things. It's going to mean that we review our bidders for some of our improvements on our roads, and make sure that they're being done in a quality way, but in a timely way. So with my experience in leadership, I feel certain that I'll be able to be effective in those areas. Thank you.
Thank you. The town of Sunnyvale has a $12 million operating budget. What is your experience with budget, and what is your plan to optimize spending? Sarah, you will kick us off.
So, as I mentioned, I was in the financial services industry. I actually graduated from Louisiana Tech with a mathematics degree, and I do spreadsheets for a living. So, budget is my favorite thing in the world to do. And so, as a matter of fact, I spent a lot of my time on the 4B committee reviewing our budget, which was much smaller than the town's budget, and making proposals on how we could shift around projects, look at our cash flow, look at how our sales revenue comes in, and how that's going to impact our timing of when we can spend money on certain projects in the future. So town council is going to be a similar process. It's just going to be on a bigger scale. So I believe I have the experience to do that. I think one of the things that we need to do very soon is review that capital improvement plan that was developed back in 2021. I think the last time I looked, there were about $80 million worth of projects slated for the next 5 years. And some of those projects we already know either need to be pushed or estimates need to be reworked. And so that's going to be a very important tool that we continue to use each year. And so as part of optimizing our budget as well, we also need to make sure that we are maximizing our grant dollars, that we're also utilizing funds from Dallas County and funds from TxDOT for different projects as well. And so all of those factors are going to come into play when managing the cash flow for the town. Thank you.
Munir, do you need me to repeat the question? The town of Sunnyvale has a $12 million operating budget. What is your experience with budget, and what is your plan to optimize spending?
As a mother of 3 kids, a working mother of 3 kids, I value money, and I make sure that I make the right decision and manage the money wisely. And as growing up, I helped my father with our business. He has a printing business, so sometimes I go there and help out. And we have 15 staff, so I'll make sure that the business is managed correctly. And I even sat in his chair and studied a lot about how to handle money and how to handle money carefully. And I'm also a senior therapist at the rehabilitation department in Sunnyvale. I make plans and make the schedule, make plans, and use the therapist wisely. Help Sunnyvale Baylor with a lot of with managing staff, and thus saving millions of dollars revenue to Sunnyvale Baylor. So actually, I am part of a part of the team where we we save money and try to manage it wisely. And how do we optimize the spending? We need to find out what the priorities are. We need to put money where we get the most out of, and we need to prioritize. How do we prioritize? We talk to the residents, find out what their priorities are. If roads are the priority, yes, and if that will give you a long run benefit, yes. We need to spend on our. We need to find out what our priorities are and spend it wisely on our plans that are, good for the residents of Sunnyvale and beneficial for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Manu, you will be first on this next question. Economic development is an important focus in a rapidly growing region. What is your stance on modifying property taxes, increasing tax revenue, and what capital improvements would you prioritize with these potential funds?
Increasing tax monies, I don't think anybody like it, right? Never heard anybody say, "Hey, I like my tax increased." No, and so how do we balance it? I know the Sunnyvale town generates, we have a lot of money generated from the property tax. And I saw in the pie chart that we had on the annual, the report, that we generate money from the businesses too. So instead of raising tax, property tax, I would say, let's bring more valuable and the right business to Sunnyvale. The right business, I want to highlight that because when I talk to different people, when I learn more about all this, I learned that all businesses are not good for our community. Some business generate some percentage of money and benefit more to the community, and some doesn't do that. And so to find the right business and bring more business that are beneficial for the community and the people will be a good idea rather than putting more burden on the residents. That's it. Thank you.
Sarah, would you like me to repeat the question? Okay.
So sales tax revenue would be my primary focus for this purpose. When you look at our budget, our current sales tax revenue for the last fiscal year was roughly 36% of our overall revenue. 5 years ago, it was half that. It was 18%, okay? So that means our sales tax revenue has just skyrocketed. Interestingly enough, our property tax revenue used to be 44% of our overall revenue, and now it's down to 38%. So for us as citizens, that's a good shift, right? We would rather get our money in from our businesses rather than having an increase in our property tax rate. So I'm a big, even on the 4B, I've talked a lot about quality of life projects here, but I'm a big proponent of our economic development and businesses as well. I just have the strong opinion that we need to keep our high traffic businesses on the edge of town, and what I mean by that is on Highway 80, as well as the Beltline corridor, right? So we need to keep businesses there that are going to involve high traffic so people can come spend their money in our town, we collect the revenue, and then they leave. Don't tell anybody I said that. However, we need to keep our homegrown Sunnyvale businesses, our boutique businesses right here in town. I mean, Hope Coffee, Settlers Table, those were companies that I had the privilege of working with when I was on the 4B committee, and we were helping them get started with economic development as well. So I'm very passionate about that. I think we can definitely be, in addition to just being strategic, I think we need to be more aggressive about seeking out more retail and grocery store options over in our Sunnyvale Center area. I know that our town staff is already working on that, and I didn't see the hand. I'm so sorry. Okay, I think that covers it. I'll stop.
Okay, Sarah, you will start on the next question. Out of the 16 square miles, less than 40% is developed. What are your thoughts on future infrastructure projects and needs?
So first and foremost, our future infrastructure needs are going to depend on our strategic vision for our town. We're going to constantly have to keep that as our Bible everywhere we go. A large portion of our town is covered under the floodplain. So hopefully, so we're not going to be wall-to-wall houses, right? We still are going to be able to maintain a lot of green space, even though I think we're projected to have a full build-out of almost double where we are now, from close to 16,000, I think is last I heard. But our future infrastructure needs, I think, are going to largely depend on how things shake out with the Highway 80 expansion and the Highway 190 that comes through town. And we just don't have all the answers to that yet. But I think it's going to be very important for council to really stay engaged with TxDOT as they work through the different phases of those projects. We have to make sure that Sunnyvale's interests stay at the top, right? I would really, looking at the latest route, I would want to push back on some of the number of exits and entrance ramps that they're projecting to come off of 190. I don't know what our options are there, But I am not interested in having Town East or Barnes Bridge, some 4-lane highway that's a funnel for people to get to Town East Mall from Walkwall. So I think we're just gonna have to continue to keep a pulse on all of those different things as we move through these next few years of the town. Thank you.
Manu, do you need me to repeat? Okay. Out of the 16 square miles of Sunnyvale, less than 40% is developed. What are your thoughts on future infrastructure projects and needs?
If I had all the power to do whatever I want, I would say Sunnyvale won't have any more houses or business. I want to keep the Sunnyvale the way it is. When I moved to Sunnyvale, I fell in love with Sunnyvale, seeing the horses and the meadows and all that. But we know change is coming. You know, that's inevitable. So how do we manage change? We need to pick the right decision for the current residents, what we want. What does the majority of the residents want? Do they want more business? I don't think so. Do they want more houses? I don't think so either. But we have to grow. We're a growing community. And growth, nobody cannot stop a growth. But the first question is, before we grow, do we have enough room do we have enough road for more growth? We know Collins is high traffic already, even though it's cutting through traffic. But who is affected by that traffic? Our residents. And it's an inconvenience for us. Even on Jobson, which is a small road, I have to stop at the stop line. I know the time that I stop, more than 10 seconds to see and wait for the car to pass by. Jobson to Tripp is a high traffic area now. Before, I could remember like 5 years ago, I could stop and turn the car. Now I have to stop and look in both directions for at least 10 or more seconds. So before we grow more houses and business, we need to make sure the roads are equipped for that. We need to make sure that our current infrastructure is ready for more. So, and if we want to have more houses, yes, we should find a way to accommodate it, and maybe in the future, but maybe slow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Manu, you will be first on this one. We want to know a little bit more about your vision for Sunnyvale. Please describe your short and long-term vision of the town.
Short-term vision is definitely maintaining and improving the road conditions. That's one of them, and the other one is, like I said, what do we want? What does our community want? Less traffic, definitely. Better business, not any business on the side of the freeway. And we're all trying to push all the business to the other side of the freeway. We could do that because most of the people reside on this side, but remember, there's a community on the other side of the freeway too. So make sure when we bring more business and attractions, we pick the right one. The reason I'm saying is because when I talk to somebody, a lot more than a few people said, the business that we brought to the other side of the river, why do we have a fast food store, fast food restaurant? So we need to bring the right business. So the short-term goals are definitely the road constructions and grocery store, making a easy and comfortable living condition for the Sunnyvale residents. And the future is definitely maintaining the charm of Sunnyvale and keep the Sunnyvale the way it is, and find a balance between the newer generation or the newer residents and the older residents. Thank you.
Sarah, the same question goes to you. Do you need me to repeat the question? Okay.
So short-term versus long-term, it kind of depends on how many years you see that as being, right? So short-term, in my mind, I'm thinking 2 to 3 years. Long-term is beyond that. So short term, I would envision, I think the Barnes Bridge should be fixed somewhere around then. We've got several infrastructure projects going on right now with improvements to roadways, drainage, moving some utilities and so forth. So several of those should be completed over the next couple of years. I really want to see some focus on an actual plan to sit down and come up with a facilities plan for the town. And that includes animal shelter, police station, library, the buildings that we've outgrown and that are aging. So planning takes a long time. So we need to start planning now because when we get to the long-term vision, I would really like to see some progress made in that area. And also long-term, I see people being able to, from Stone Canyon, ride their bikes or their golf carts, if we allow it, all the way to Hope Coffee and get a cup of coffee. I mean, how cool would that be, right? And that's going to be made possible if we get this Rails to Trails project completely funded and finished. Or vice versa, I sure wouldn't mind taking a walk and going to Chick-fil-A without having to get in my car and go down there. So to me, those are some of the things that I think if we just really think how we want to structure the town, and continue to get citizen input through all the different committees that we have is going to make that vision come to life. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And Sarah, you will be next on this, or the first one on this next question. How would you change or improve the methods that Sunnyvale uses to communicate with its citizens and businesses?
So I saw a communication from the school the other day. I'm still on their email list. I couldn't let go of that even though my daughter's not in school anymore. She's 20 years old. I still wanted to know what was going on at school. And they actually advertised our candidate forum, which I thought was awesome. And I've seen some things in our news flash that the town puts out that advertises some things that go on with the school. So I think continuing that and maybe even increasing that would help maybe bridge the gap between some of the events that some people are aware of in one or the other place. I was a big fan of the paper newsletter that came out in the water bill. That was on a monthly basis. Obviously, with social media and technology, we don't need something like that, but a quarterly mailed newsletter is not a bad idea, in my opinion, because I have found throughout this process, there are a lot of people in our town who do not use social media and who are not connected through technology to our town. So I think we need to find a way to reach the people, even if it is not even if it's not the easiest. So that's what I would suggest. Thank you.
Manu, the same question goes to you. Do you need me to repeat it? How would you change or improve the methods that Sunnyvale uses to communicate with its citizens and businesses?
Let me start with this. There's a fire station in my backyard, 2 houses down. I did not know. When I asked the neighbors, a lot of people did not know. The people I asked, I'm sure town did a fantastic job in communicating with them, but unfortunately they did not know. Why? I thought about it. To me, to reach me or get my attention is definitely through email or text message instantly. So the way, I don't know how they communicate, I didn't talk to anybody in detail about it, but the way they communicated probably didn't reach out to all the population. We have a different age group, they get their message or news through different media. So we need to find a balance where that can reach out to every single resident. Maybe a group email, or maybe a website where people can frequently find out and easily navigate. I went to the town website and I was able to find out, but it took a lot of clicks. But for an older person who are not tech savvy, how do they find out? So maybe we can find a better solution for that, or like a group text where everybody gets attention immediately. That will be a better idea to find a balance that covers everybody. Thank you.
Time flies when you're having fun. We would now like to ask both candidates to bring their closing remarks. They will have 2 minutes each. And Manu, you will get us started.
Does anybody know what this is? It's maybe hard to see from a distance. It's a clicker. So I use this clicker when I go door to door. So it's every door I knock, I click. It's very rewarding. And you could see the numbers of click I made. So this is what I've been doing for the last couple of months. I go door to door, I talk to people face to face at their doorstep, in their front yard, over the fence. I'm sure you guys understood, I'm not a speaker. This is not where my strength is. I'm a medical professional, I'm a physical therapist. I believe in action, not speak, not talk. And what I do every day is listening to people and their concern. And I've been doing that for the last 10 years, 20 years. And not just listening to them, I find a solution for them. I communicate to the appropriate people. In my case, in the hospital setting, I communicate with the physician and the family. That's what I do. Not just communication, I find if there's a solution for them, and I make sure that they get the answer, and I stand up for them. So running for this place, I assure you, and I'll do the same with you. And I'll make sure that I'll come to you, I'll talk to you, I'll listen to you, and I'll communicate with the town council and find the right solution for you. So from 20 years of experience as a public servant, this is what I can offer to you. A good listening ear and a person who stand up for your need. So after talking to hundreds of people, almost more than 700 door I covered, and several people were willing to talk to me and taking the time to express their concerns and needs. I did about 112 people participated in the survey, my survey, Manu's Sunnyvale survey. So the concerns is more than we think. It's actually funny that some of the concerns that they say is very, we may not even think about it. Well, anyway, I have the survey if you want to see. And thank you so much. And please vote for me. I will be your voice. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll listen to Sarah's closing remarks as well.
Thank you. So we've talked a lot tonight about what we would change, what we would do, all of these actionable items. One of my favorite things to do, though, is to think. And so I do a lot of that on a day-to-day basis. I like to look and think and really research where we've been and where we're going. And so I think that's going to be a very important part of being on the town council, is thinking about what we do, how it impacts us today, tomorrow, ourselves, our kids, our grandkids. Because even though it is a big deal to me that I've been here for 14 years, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what a lot of people have been here for. And so I have a great deal of appreciation for Sunnyvale and the people that live here and the people that have called this home for so long and have put up with a lot of the changes and still want to stay and still want to just fight for what we have, because there's so much good here in Sunnyvale. And I hope to retire here, and I hope to retire alongside with you. And I just would appreciate your vote, or feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to have a conversation, and maybe I'll see you at your door as well. Thank you.
Can we please give it up for the candidates one more time? Thank you, candidates Manu, Danny, and Sarah Bradford, both being very cordial, respectful. Same thing to you in the crowd. Thank you so much for your respect and allowing the candidates to express their opinions. Also want to make sure that y'all have a chance to address these final individuals after this event as well. There will be more time to chat with them one-on-one. I know we only got through 8 questions today, so you probably have more questions. Thank you from me, and then I was gonna give it over to Terry Shatter with the Sunnyvale Chamber.
I want to thank everyone for attending this evening. Chick-fil-A donated food, so I want to do a thank out to them. Alexander for helping us out and being a moderator. And mayor and council and anybody that does a service job or serves the community, I want to thank you for doing that. It's not easy, and it's great to have people that are willing to step up. I want to thank Sarah and Manu for running, and stay around and visit if you want, and have a good evening. Thank you.